Welcome to the Olivia Gamber Podcast. And today's episode is all about how to get clients, whether you're a consultant, whether you're a coach. I want to make this the simplest way to do it, especially if you're early on and you're just looking to maybe get your first three clients, or you're struggling to consistently land clients, you want to get more revenue streams, whatever it is. I've been in this game for a decade. I know how to get clients. I have systems, I have a team, I have funnels. I've got all the advanced stuff now, being in business for 10 years and investing in advertising, doing more of the advanced stuff. But today I want to keep it really simple because that's one of the biggest challenges that keeps people from actually commanding more income, getting more clients, is that they just make business really complicated. And business is really simple. It's so simple to get clients. And if you make it complicated and you believe it's complicated, then you will focus on all the things that make it complicated, making a website, looking at maybe needing to set up a proposal and getting all your accounting systems set up. What's the invoicing tool? And I got to get business cards. I've got to have a marketing proposal. I've got to get a consultant to advise me on what the correct pricing is. We got to keep it simple, especially at the beginning. And especially if you're struggling to get revenue with what you are offering, you've got to focus on what really matters. And at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is more conversations with people who have the problems that you solve. So if you're B2C, conversations with those direct consumers that need the services and have the problems you solve. If you're B2B, conversations with those business owners or those executives who have the problems that you solve. You don't need a website. You don't need to have all these fancy proposals. You don't even need a pitch deck. What you need is yourself. You need to have skills and the ability to solve problems. So again, I repeat, anyone that has skills that can solve problems, you can make more money right now by getting clients and offering your services to them. So let me talk about this because this has been coming up a lot, especially in the last couple of weeks. I've had some very high level folks come to me and say, you know what? I really just want to get some clients. I want to be able to talk to CEOs. I know what I need to do, but I just want you to do it for me. And I said, okay, no problem. It's going to cost you a significant amount, but if you don't want to do it, by all means, yeah, I'll do it for you and be able to, bill you for the outcome and the results of getting those potential clients on your calendar. So this is something that I've noticed that it's not about the fact that it's challenging to get clients or start that process of generating interest and leads for what you can do. The challenge is more about the fact that folks get in their head, and it's the human element of business, and nobody talks about this, but it's the fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough, and having to experience that by putting yourself out there and offering services, offering value. And so what we found, and especially at my company Career Evolved, when I'm helping folks to make this transition to really become a consultant, become a business owner, to offer their services, it comes with so much internal resistance because they don't know how to really trust themselves. They don't know that they can rely on themselves to offer that value. And so early on, we see people dramatically undercharging for the value that they offer. And that's for a couple reasons. One, they don't trust themselves yet that they can deliver results. Maybe they did it at a company, maybe they did it with the team, but now they're a little shaky on whether they can do it on their own. And that's perfectly fine. You need to get certainty in your ability to solve these problems to be able to charge a premium. There's nothing wrong with starting small with that and slowly stair step it up. I did the exact same thing. The other reason people struggle to really make a good income from landing these clients is they don't consistently build their pipeline. And at the beginning, it's just so much overwhelm. Where do I find these people? What do I say? How do I say it? What am I going to do to get them to be interested, right? And so if you don't have money to spend on advertising, in fact, I don't recommend you invest in advertising at all until you've gotten consistent clients with your own direct marketing. And there's really only a few ways to get clients, guys. One, advertising. Two, content marketing. And then three, outreach. So those are the ways. And then, of course, there's joint venture partnerships, right? But early on, nobody's going to partner with you if you don't have proven results and you don't have a track record of delivering those results. So at the beginning, your best bet is going to be that direct marketing outreach to be able to get in front of your clients, whether that's the platform of choice, DMs, email, it doesn't matter. They're all the same mechanisms to invite people to conversations about problems that you can solve. And that's how you add the value. So, what I always recommend is one of the biggest things that keeps people from really consistently building that pipeline and getting their message in front of more of those prospective clients is honestly, they don't really truly believe that anyone's going to buy. So they get so caught up in, well, nobody's going to buy, they're not interested, that they don't put in the volume required to sustain that high level interest. And generally speaking, if you know who you're targeting and who you want to work with or who needs what you do, about 20% of the market at any one given time is going to be interested or that's going to be relevant. For 80%, it's just not relevant. And so, for any marketing campaign, whether it's direct outreach or something else to be successful, you need to really accept the fact that 80% of the people are not going to be interested. And instead of making that mean anything about you, the value, you need to see that that's just part of the process. And so a lot of folks will not put in the correct volume and time to be able to get their consulting offer or services off the ground. And honestly, in today's world, a consulting business is the best business to offer because it does not require any capital. And you have limitless opportunity because you can target the whole world to solve a problem. And if you're willing to put the time in, you don't even need capital. You just need to be able to do outreach. And so this is one of the craziest things that I'm able to help people do is just to get really clear on who do I want to help and what are those one, two, three big problems I can solve for those people that would add value to them that are relevant. Once you have a really clear idea of what couple problems the ideal person you want to serve has, then you can lead and offer value around that problem. And so you don't need a website, you don't need a funnel, you don't need to spend all this money on Facebook ads or whatever. You simply need to offer value. And I did this. This is exactly what I did to get my business off the ground when I already knew what I was doing because I had left a partnership and I started over just over 3 years ago. And I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on ads. It was kind of a crazy time. It was COVID, right? So at that time, I was like, I'm just going to hustle and I'm going to really put myself out there and invite people to these 10-minute intro calls. So I would go on LinkedIn, and I would find these ideal profiles. I targeted specific states that I was interested in serving and certain education level, certain level I wanted to speak to. And I would just message 10 to 20 people a day. And I would just say, I really love your profile. You have a background similar to clients that I've had a lot of success with. Would love to see if you'd like to connect on a quick intro call to see if I could be of value to you. Let me know. And just going back and forth and offering value with no expectation because I know and I've got the mindset that I've developed over time through just reps of adding value. This isn't going to happen to all of you guys right out the gate, but when you know that you offer value through your time, getting people to experience that value is what creates the interest. And that's what allows you to demonstrate that you understand their problem better than they do. And that's what creates the value and the opportunity. And so being able to offer value, and not everybody, it's going to be the right time. Maybe it's not a priority. Maybe it's not an urgency. That doesn't matter. You're not doing it because you need a result right then and there. You're building a pipeline of opportunity, and there's going to be those that are ready now, those that are ready in a couple weeks, those that are ready in a couple months. You have no control over that. The only thing you control is your energy and your activity. And so I think that's really the key, is people need to get committed to what is the mastery of the process for me to sustain this ability to attract income for myself. And why is this so important to me right now? Because I'll be real with you, I did not want to come to my desk when I was getting this business off the ground. I didn't want to show up to my desk and just do this monotonous work of outreach and doing these DMs and emailing back and forth. It was incredibly boring to me because it was the same thing over and over again. But this is where you start to actually get a lot of value back in your career, when you actually are able to do one thing over and over and over and over again, where you could literally do it in your sleep. And that's what creates the stability. And it's the freedom that comes from the discipline. So my ability to be disciplined and ultimately be at my desk to do that part of the job consistently, no matter what, send at least 10 of those and follow up with the others at the end of my day and keep that pipeline growing. That's what allowed my business to get off the ground. And then eventually getting a VA or some virtual assistant to do that front end of that part for me, where I then was only taking the calls. Then eventually I removed myself out of the sales calls. So it's a constant evolution. You're not starting there. And I think this is the thing that so many people struggle with. They don't want to be seen in the mud, laying brick by brick by brick. There's too much ego than showing up, offering value and service with no expectation in return. And that's the only way that you're going to get value. If you're waiting for someone to come to the table ready to pay, that's not going to happen. You've got to serve folks to create that value and get them to experience that value, especially if we're talking about consulting, coaching, or any type of services where you're selling your intellectual skills and your ability to solve problems. And so where I see people really get stuck is that they just are not loving the game enough to be able to want to have those conversations. Because there was a day where I would do literally 10. When I was first starting out, I had days where I had 10 of these intro calls just to be able to continue to explode my business, because I was willing to do what it takes. Most people will self-sabotage. They'll do it one day, maybe not the next, and they'll find excuses. Well, there's not enough people. Nobody's answering. That doesn't work anymore. They don't put in the activity required. And that's because they're not committed to the goal. So the first question you need to ask yourself, and I always tell this with my clients, because tactics are easy. It's easy to get clients. It's easy to get phone calls. It's easy to find people that need your services. It's never been easier with AI to be able to generate leads. We all have access to all the information and people and decision makers and contact information on the internet. It's never been easier to create opportunity. Then why don't people do it? And it's all about your mindset. It's all about your willingness to truly own your value and truly believe with that conviction that you know they need you. So it's a mindset shift to go from, man, it's such a grind, I hope somebody can need my services today, versus I know they need me. There's so many people that need me, and I owe it to them to get my message in front of them and to offer them support and help so they can finally get this problem solved. That's when you know you've got a really great offer. You've got to be 100% behind it, because it's so easy to just discount an offer and say, oh, nobody's buying. Well, that's on you, because you have to pick a problem that is of value to people. So the only reason it wouldn't work is you've got the wrong audience or the wrong offer, meaning you're not talking about a problem that that audience really cares about, or you're not speaking in a way that's going to resonate with them. So half the battle is you've got to understand these folks. And this is why I love the lean startup method so much, is I have zero ego. When I'm offering a new offer and somebody has a problem, I listen to them and say, well, what have you tried? What is this costing you if this problem does not get solved? Is this a priority? What happens if it doesn't get solved? Because for me, as I'm thinking about as a business owner, I want to solve a problem that's really significant, because that has high urgency and there's going to be a need and you can't ignore it. And there's always demand when you solve problems that really cannot be ignored. And you also get paid more to solve those problems. So finding those problems that absolutely have to be addressed. And it can be with a direct consumer or a business owner, it does not matter. But being able to get the right offer, that is the key to being able to constantly attract clients. And that's where business consultants like myself and everybody else out there needs that set of eyes, is to be able to see, well, I could do all this stuff. How could I position myself? What do I talk about? What am I offering? I don't know how to offer it or how to package it. What am I supposed to say? How do I start to sell it? There's all these questions, right? And so I think that's the piece that people get so overwhelmed, especially if you've got a lot of skills, you've got a versatile skill set, and there's so many things you could do. So the other problem I see people do is they try to say, I could do this, I could do that, and they're just like a Swiss Army knife. And nobody really understands what they do, and they just assume that they don't do anything well because their message is all over the place and it's diluted at a certain point. So when that happens, I always tell people, the higher up of the person that you're targeting, the less attention they have to give you. So if you're making the busy person think and have to figure out what you do, you've lost before you started. So where I see a lot of people make the mistake is they try to be too much at once, or they try to be everything to everyone. I could do this, I could do that. And it's just complete unclear. The person doesn't know what you're doing. They don't even know who to introduce you to. So where you want to shift to actually start to get traction is simple, bare bones, clear and concise. With this type of direct marketing outreach that we're talking about, what's most important is people can immediately understand what you do or what value you're offering. What problems do you solve? So for my company, Career Evolved, we help high achieving executives land multiple offers in less than 90 days. We also help clients to evolve their career, reinvent themselves, and land consulting clients for those that are going in that direction. So depending on who you are and what audience I'd be targeting, I would be speaking in a very one clear value proposition. I solve these problems for these people. And the less you say, the more confidence you're going to portray, because it's immediately clear, and clarity transfers certainty. When you lack clarity, people don't know, there's hesitation, they're you're immediately going to lose their attention because they don't know what you're saying, or you're trying to say too much. And we live in the attention age, and attention spans are only getting shorter and shorter. So the more you can be clear and digestible, the more attention you're going to get. Now I'm going to talk about the other piece that keeps people really stuck from wanting to get clients. Maybe you've got really high value skills, but you're like, you know what? I can't do it because I just hate selling myself. Well, great, because nobody really wants to be sold to anyway at this point. And we're moving more towards a market where people are really sophisticated buyers these days. They do their research. They want to work with the real deal, someone that really cares about them, that doesn't treat them like a number, and provides a really good experience. So when you think about it that way, it's not about how well you can pitch or sell. And that's been my experience, especially selling to high level executives. They're the most hesitant, highly skeptical, very sophisticated buyer. And they are not easy to win over their trust and their respect. So they're watching your every move, your every tone. They're very in tune with every little detail. So you've got to be in alignment with integrity and serving them with no attachment to the outcome. Of course, you want to be clear. Here's the offer. Here's how we can support you, and be upfront about that. But when it comes to pushing someone to convince or trick them into making a decision, that's not really what works, especially if you're selling a higher level service. You want to first make sure that they understand that you know their problem better than they do, meaning you understand their problem better than they do, and you don't need to sell to demonstrate that. How you're able to demonstrate that is through the questions that you ask and through the way that you're relating to the problems and the pain points that they're sharing with you. And so this is where I see a lot of people really skip over. They'll quickly just ask a couple questions. Oh, yeah, I could help you solve that. Let me pitch to you. Instead, really allowing the person to go deeper on the problem, every little piece, that's what's going to demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. And a lot of folks, especially salespeople, they'll skip to selling way too soon before they've really demonstrated any type of authority or value. So I would argue that in today's world, if you're able to not be salesy and you're able to actually add value and be patient and present, you're going to get way more people wanting to invest because they feel safe, they trust and respect you. And you've provided already so much value. If you provide value that someone would pay for in the initial call, then you've already created that momentum where they're like, wow, I got this for free. I wonder what type of experience I'm going to get once I pay, right? And so the problem with most people is they're in more of a scarcity mindset. I don't want to give too much away because then somebody's going to go do it on their own. And I hear this all the time with my clients. Well, should I not give too much away because then they're going to just do it on their own? And I always say this every time this question comes up. If you could solve their problem in a 1 hour call, then that problem was not big enough for them to make an investment. So you didn't lose anything anyway, but you did build a strategic relationship and a connection that may need you in the future or be able to refer you to others because they got to experience that value. So you can't be playing this zero sum game. If I don't get something from this person, that's dead. You're really creating and campaigning for your brand. And the more people that get to know what you do and get to experience that value, that will come back to you. And you have to trust that it's going to come back to you without needing to see when and how immediately. And that's that abundance mindset, knowing that as long as I show up in service, offering value, that value will come back. If you're holding back value, then you're not going to win as much business because people aren't going to experience enough to want to make a big investment. So you've got to take that service mindset where you're able to get them to experience and see that value and get a taste of it where now they want more. And the best way to do that is to start to demonstrate how deeply you understand their problems and start to get them to see a clear vision of what it would be like to work with you or what it would be like to collaborate with you. And that's what the conversation's about. So again, I just want to recap everything from today, business is not complicated. Getting clients is not complicated. What's complicated is our brain, how we choose to communicate, how we choose to overanalyze and overthink. Because at the end of the day, if you remember nothing else that I said, the only thing that matters is more conversations with people who have problems that you can solve. If you just focused on that activity alone, you will be getting clients. And if you just focused on that KPI, more conversations with people who have problems I can solve for a month, you will get a client. And so it is really that simple. And you do not need a website. You do not need to have everything buttoned up in a proposal. What you need are 3 paying clients or customers to validate that this offer is actually in demand. And that's what you're going to be iterating, because as you talk to people, you may come in with one expectation, but really it evolves into something completely different. So at the beginning of any venture or offer, program, services, I always allow the consumer to guide me. And I allow myself to design the product based on what I'm seeing from them. I do not create an offer in a silo making assumptions. You want to really allow that customer, that client to be a part of that journey with you, because that's only going to allow you to convert more of these folks because they feel like that solution is designed directly for them. And I think we're now moving into a day and age where people are just so sick of just this generic off the shelf stuff. They want to feel like things are done just for them, and they want to feel significant. They want to feel seen. They want to feel heard. And so this is the evolution of, in the world of AI, where everybody's just using like robots to spam the internet and direct message thousands of people. It doesn't work because it's so transactional, and people want that connection. They want to work with people that they trust and that care about them. So again, I just want to leave you guys with one really good book recommendation, because I recommend it to all my clients, and it's The Go Giver. And it's such a simple book, but the principles in The Go Giver are absolutely life-changing, and they're so simple but so powerful. And you can read the book in a couple hours. I've read it multiple times, but it's just so powerful to show up in service with that generous presence and wanting to help people and offering value and trusting that that value is going to come back to you. It is one of the simplest things to do, but so many folks struggle with it. And so if you want to make more money, I'm going to leave you with this. Your income is directly tied to how much value you offer and how many people you serve. So if you want to make more money, simply connect with more people and offer value regardless if they're going to pay you or not. If you just simply consistently add more value to folks through conversation and asking questions about their problems and pain points, you will create opportunity for yourself. Well, I hope this was helpful. And this is coming from over a decade now, getting thousands of clients. So I've seen it all. If you guys have questions or specific situations you want to run by me, feel free to shoot me a note on social media or by email. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I'll see you next week.